What's up, big volley shot callers? Welcome from the Grid to the Rim Sports Talk Show. We have a special show tonight, this evening. I've got two guests, Dave and Kevin. And Dave has been on the show once before for the CFP semifinal talk with Alabama, Michigan, and Texas and UW, that show. Then Kevin, this is your first time, so thanks for doing it, Kevin. I'm glad you're here tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Welcome to the show, Kevin.
Welcome,
Thank you.
Kev.
Thank you.
Yeah, just to fill everyone in real quick, I do football games with Dave and Kevin. Dave, you said earlier you've been an official for 25 years, football official for 25 years. And I know, Kevin, you've been doing like for 4 or 5 years now?
Yeah, this will be the start of my 5th season.
Nice.
Yeah, Kevin is our junior officials trainer, so I've learned a lot from Kevin in the past 2 years I've done it, and Dave. Dave's my mentor, but Dave and Kevin have been really crucial to me seeing football from a different perspective as an official, not just as a fan like I used to be. One thing I definitely learned, I'm sure Kevin and Dave would agree, is seeing it from a official's point of view is a little bit different, and I learned a lot. I thought I knew a lot about football, and I did, but I didn't know as much as I thought I did, and I really got to see like the little small like intricacies of football and like all these little things that can kind of bite you in the butt if you don't get it right as an official, and and inadvertent whistles and all those things we all make mistakes on, and me still not blowing my whistle loud enough and all that stuff. So, but I do appreciate Dave and Kevin helping me out for the past 2 seasons. It's been a lot of fun. Let's get into wild card recaps, gentlemen. 2 big upsets. Houston beating Cleveland. I did not see that coming. CJ Stroud just played lights out, continued to ball out. And I thought the stage I always wondered if the stage would be too big for him, and obviously it was not. Yeah, he played an amazing game. And then the Cowboys, the other big upset, 28 years, and we still can't get into the NFC Championship game.
Oh, man.
I at least thought we'd win the wild card game, and I was my big thing was, will we win the division round? We can't always seem to get past the division round. But I wasn't too worried about the wild card game, but boy, was I for sure wrong. That was embarrassing.
That was bad.
That was bad. So I guess that's the first game we could talk about. And me and Monty are Cowboys fans. So Monty, what was your take on our Cowboys just getting lit up? What did you see in that game?
Well, you said we have about an hour? You sure?
Yeah. We might need a full week to talk about this.
Oh, man. Guys, I'm so disappointed in this team. Ken's disappointed. I'm not sure what fans you are. I think Dave's a Seahawks fan.
Kevin Seahawks also.
Seahawks. So,
yeah.
Man, just going through this year after year after year, and it's all about Jerry's ego. I mean, sometimes I think he's doing this out of spite, knowing what the team needs. That coach that'll get them over the edge. And a coach that'll make these guys step up in the playoffs. I texted Ken during that Texans game and talked about taking it to another level in the playoffs. Dallas is the only team that didn't. Even the teams that lost played at a different level. They played better than what they did in the regular season. Dallas reverted back to what they played like in the first 5 weeks of the season. And penalties, led the league in penalties. Lack of discipline. Special teams mistakes. Not getting out of the way of the guy calling fair catch.
Yeah, that was insane.
Discipline. Oh, man. And yeah, I mean, Dak had a terrible game, and that's another story. That'll take another hour. I'm not sure what was up with Quinn's defensive scheme, playing man the whole game and not adjusting, playing what were they playing there? Some kind of
zone. I think
zone.
they were playing zone and not man. That's why I think threw them off. Is like they usually play man. They were playing zone, and they weren't used to that. They were wide open across the middle.
And the problem is he didn't adjust.
Nope.
Love was burning them, killing them. Nobody within 15 yards, 10 yards.
Dobbs,
no adjustments whatsoever.
Dobbs was like lights out. Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm just venting as a fan here. I mean, it's tough. Had no reason to lose that game whatsoever against a young team, a team that I still think they're better than. they just picked the wrong time to play like that. Just like they did the past couple of years. Played their worst game of 2 years against San Francisco. Started off like that. Couldn't get the offense going last year. I don't get it. If you guys have the answer, please tell me. I have no clue.
Well, I know Jerry Jones and Mike McCarthy don't have an answer. That's for sure.
Yeah.
What's your guys' take on? What's your take on it, Kevin? I'll finish it.
Well, I think it's one of those where they let the game get too big for them. I think they came in and they just, I think like you were saying, they thought that they had it in the bag and they just overlooked them, and they weren't ready to come in, and they just weren't mentally prepared to be in that game.
That's right.
They thought they were going to come out strong and fast, and they were going to have a lead and be playing from in front, and they got so far behind and just had no idea. It was kind of like quicksand. The more they struggled, the harder they fought, the more they struggled. And it was one of those where the game just got away from them.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you, Dave? What's your thoughts? I'm sure you're liking it, because I know you probably don't like the Cowboys, so I'm sure you're enjoying it.
Of course. Always like to see the Cowboys win. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I knew this. I knew this already from knowing you, so I knew this.
But you know, I didn't see the way it happened happen. It didn't shock me. Green Bay won. I mean, Jordan Love's been on fire.
Oh yeah, he's great. He's great.
I mean, the last 8 weeks, he's been the top 1 or 2 quarterback in the league. So something's clicked for him. But I kind of thought Dallas might be in little trouble when Green Bay took out the quarter on that first drive. I mean, they just methodically went down. And like you said, Monty, I mean, there's no defensive adjustments at all. And I don't know. I'm not a Cowboy fan, and I'm not a Dak Prescott lover. I don't know how you guys feel down there, but I just don't think he's built to win a big game. I mean, it's just shown over and over that he can't get the team there.
The thing with Dak, a lot of fans, a lot of people who aren't fans, as far as getting rid of him, I kind of disagree with that. The quarterbacks that are available, I'm talking about the ones that are available that are out there, aren't better than he is. Your Kirk Cousins, things like that. I don't think he's better than Dak. He's not elite.
I agree.
He's pretty good. But how many elite quarterbacks have won a Super Bowl? You don't have to be elite, but you got to be decent.
Yeah, if you're not elite, you have to have some sort of defense, and they just didn't have the defense.
Yeah, and so I thought they'd have the defense, but apparently not. If you got a coach that can't adjust, I don't know, but yeah, it's tough. I know many quarterbacks have had trouble winning big games to start with. I know Peyton Manning had his troubles. I'm not comparing him to Peyton Manning by all means. We know that. But he's been playing long enough already. It's time. I mean, we can't throw pick sixes in the playoffs anymore.
Yeah. He didn't do himself any favors by throwing him a pick six, but I think even without the 2 interceptions in the first half, the first one was when they're down 7-0 and they just got the ball back. That was the one time Dallas actually stopped Green Bay. Green Bay was already up 7-0. Dallas punted to him after their first drive, then Dallas was able to get the ball back. But then he threw the first interception inside his own 25-yard line. They got an easy touchdown like 3 or 4 plays later. The pick six was definitely like the dagger. But because then they went up 27-0. Like, man, this game is. That's my text. Like, this game is over. I texted Mike like it's over. Now it's over.
Yeah, game over after that. You're right.
Yeah, but even with that, Dak, like I said, Dak just didn't do himself any favors. But even if Dak didn't throw any interceptions, I think the Cowboys looked like they were going to lose this game because their defense could not stop Green Bay all game long. And that's why I don't put it all on Dak. But like I said, Dak, like Dave said, you said, he needs to win these games because it's been long enough. Like, hey, you're not a rookie anymore. You're in your 7th or 8th season. Like, you got to start winning some games, man. So, but that defense got tore up. Yeah, so they weren't going to stop him. What I was hoping for was like, the defense could keep him in it until like Seattle Seahawks. Dave and Kevin are Seattle Seahawks fans. I thought when Seattle Seahawks got their Super Bowl, their offense wasn't that great. That Legion of Boom defense is what was really good.
Yeah.
Their offense was just very timely. Like their defense.
I don't know. The last 5 games of that season, though, that offense was scoring 50 points. They were just
did
rolling,
get on fire at the end.
But it was because it was an entire team effort where that defense just kept putting the offense in great positions. So they would come in and they were fresh, and the other team just was struggling to be able to do anything. So that offense was able to take shots because they were playing from a lead.
Yeah, you're right. The offense did catch fire because I remember them being kind of timely and struggling and kind of punting a lot. But then, Richard Sherman and all those guys would keep the game close, and then the Seattle Seahawks offense will finally start clicking and get like Russell Wilson in his prime had a lot of game-winning drives, and then he would get a lot of game-winning drives because the defense would keep him in it, But Cowboys don't have that. I'll just go over some stats real quick from the game. Jordan Love was 16 out of 21 for 272 yards, 3 TDs. Aaron Jones, mine and Monty's man from El Paso, Texas. He went to UTEP, University of Texas, El Paso. Me and Monty know that university well. We went to a lot of their football games in high school. And Aaron Jones is an Army brat, just like me. He went to Burgess High School in El Paso. I know that school. I played against them in basketball. They're a good school.
Yes.
So Aaron Jones is kind of a fan of mine and Monty's. Unfortunately, he plays for the Green Bay Packers, but me and Monty always kind of follow him because he's one of very few guys to come out of El Paso to make it to the NFL. But he had 21 carries for 118 yards and 3 TDs.
Always turns up Dallas, too.
Romeo Dobbs, leading receiver, 6 catches, 151 yards, 1 TD.
Ooh. Wow.
But we knew Dallas's defensive struggles was the run. And I even said on the show last week when I had to do it solo because you guys were sick, I said, like, hey, man, this game is going to be closer than probably what people think because of the run, because Aaron Jones can run and he's healthy. Because he missed most of the season, but he came back the last month of the season, had 3 100-yard rushing games in a row, and then he got 118 yards in the wild card. So now he has 4 straight games over 100 yards. So the man is on fire. And like Dave alluded to, Jordan Love has been on fire the second half of the season. They didn't look good the first half, but they sure as heck look good in the second half. And they got really good young receivers. And the crazy thing is, Christian Watson, I don't think got a single catch or a single target, but he did have a hamstring injury. He was out for like 5 weeks, so maybe he just wasn't in game shape. But he's their deep ball threat, and he didn't even get a single catch because he killed the Cowboys last year.
Yeah, sure did.
That was the coming out party for Christian Watson last year. Was against the Cowboys during the middle of the season when they upset us in the middle of the year. Dak Prescott stats: 41 out of 60. He had to throw it 60 times because they were so far behind. They had this weird late comeback in the fourth quarter, but we knew it was over.
No, that was garbage time.
That was garbage time. Like I said, he had 3 TDs and 2 interceptions, but I did admire the way he fought early in the second half when it looked like they might make it a game. It was 27-7 at halftime, where we thought it could be a game if they come out on fire. And they got the opening field goal, which I thought might be okay, but then the defense just kept on not doing anything, and it was over. Pollard, TP, had 15 carries, 56 yards, 1 TD, and then CeeDee Lamb, which is very misleading, who I thought played like a punk, had 9 catches and 110 yards, but that looks very misleading. That makes it look like he had a good game, and he did not have a good game. And he played like trash, especially in the first half when we really needed him and we were bleeding bad. We needed to like cut off the bleeding, and he couldn't. Him and Dak just weren't on the same page, which was very strange. For the first time all year, they just weren't. I don't know what they were thinking, but they were off. So that is that game. But let's get into let's talk about this real quick, and then we'll go to the next game. Do you guys think the Cowboys should move on from Dak Prescott? Dave and Kevin.
Like Monty said, I don't know what's out there. I mean, maybe draft somebody. and groom him for a few years, but I mean, he's proven he can win in the regular season. It's just
hmm
don't have the expectations in the postseason. You know, he's a stat filler, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It just
I think if
Right.
you're going to move on from Dak, you're going to have to do kind of a reset where you're going to go with, like Dave was saying, a young quarterback that is cheap, and then you can bolster your defense. Really, just spend that money on building up a strong defense to try and take advantage of the free money from a young quarterback.
Russell Wilson's available.
Yeah.
That's the opposite of getting a cheap
and
quarterback.
and from what I understand, you get him cheap because of the way his contract
Oh,
is and
all the
that.
dead money
Yeah.
that Denver's going to be paying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Trey Lance is there, and he's kind of unproven, and I think that's why they have him there, just in case, maybe for the future. But yeah, he's young, and he could be their future if Dak doesn't pan out within the next year or two.
He could be. He had flashes in his first year with San Francisco when he'd come in during certain game situations and he looked good. He had some touchdown runs and some touchdown throws. They would like to put him in certain formations, and he looked okay. Then when he went to, he was in San Francisco and he beat out. They decided to bench Garoppolo. He got hurt so fast. Like in the second game of the year, he was hurt, and it was all she wrote. I mean, it was like a season-ending injury, and he was done. So, yeah, he's unproven, but I like him. At this point, it wouldn't hurt to play him. I mean, it's over now,
No.
but if Dak sucks next year, they could put him in, man.
Yeah.
Like, put him in, man. I still can't believe Mike McCarthy's fired. We're dragging on about the Cowboys too much. That's my Monty's team. But I think Mike McCarthy should have been canned. Typical Jerry Jones crap to keep him around to control a coach. Like, no good coach wants to go to the Cowboys, like you said, Monty, because they don't want to be controlled by Jerry Jones. Like, Jerry Jones, you're 80 years old. Just get out of the way. Get out. Get out. Get out.
Yeah. Let your son do
but
it.
Who would they bring in? There's no way that anybody like Bill Belichick is going to come there with Jerry Jones there.
That's what I'm saying. That's the problem.
Yeah.
That's why I say Jerry Jones needs to step down, because a guy like Belichick won't come. A guy like Jim Harbaugh won't come.
Yeah, that's the downside. I was
a guy like
hoping
Mike Vrabel, who got fired from Tennessee, who I think is a good coach. This didn't work out.
Very good coach.
Years, very good coach. He won't come because they're not the kind of guys that are going to take any crap.
Yeah.
So the problem with Jerry Jones is he had early success with Jimmy Johnson. So he thinks he knows football when he really doesn't. And then he gets in the coach's way. And that's why Jimmy Johnson left. I mean, we could have probably 2 or 3 more rings if Jimmy Johnson would have stayed. That's my guess. Yeah. Or at least I know we won't be in this drought of not making the NFC Championship game in 28 years. I know that much.
Mm-hmm. I've always said they would have been the Patriots before the Patriots.
They could have been.
Yeah.
They could have been. But that's what Jerry Jones doesn't understand. It's like, dude, like, you're messing up your own team. I think he means well, but he just can't get out of the way. Like, I don't think, he wants to win, obviously. He's not trying to lose, but he just is in the way. He's kind of like Al Davis, the old Raiders guy. Wasn't he the same way? Al Davis was like around the Raiders forever, and it just seemed like he was
just
kind of
win, baby.
Huh?
Yeah, that's right. That's what he said.
Yeah, but let's move on. We could talk about the Cowboys for a week. Let's get into this CJ Stroud game. Oh, my God.
Can we just talk about the turnaround that the Houston Texans have had from last year to this year?
Yes.
It's unbelievable. That I went and saw them play the Raiders last year, and they were absolutely the worst team I think I've ever seen on the field. Like, even their own fans were booing them in Raider Stadium. Like, it was ridiculous. And to come around and win a playoff game is incredible.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's incredible is how fast CJ Stroud is taking off. Like, most rookie quarterbacks struggle for a couple of years. Even like Monty alluded to, like, Troy Aikman was 1-15 his first year. Peyton Manning struggled. He couldn't get past Tom Brady for a while. Other quarterbacks have struggled. So what CJ Stroud is doing, and just that whole team, is amazing, man. It is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought Cleveland's defense, being the number one defense, would slow them down, and that
Yeah, so
was not the case at all. I picked Cleveland to win, and that was not the case. So some stats from that game was C.J. Stroud was 16 out of 21, 274 yards, 3 TDs. The leading receiver was Collins, 6 receptions, 96 yards, 1 TD. And he had a big game the game before against the Colts to get them into the playoffs. He's had back-to-back really good games. He's coming on strong. The first half was good. The first half, it was anybody's game. It was kind of like a really well-played game, and both teams were playing well. I thought it was going to be close. And then poor Joe Flacco, I think the man deserves a lot of credit because he helped get Cleveland into the playoffs when their situation was very bleak. He had a good first half, but he had those 2 pick sixes in the third quarter, and that was game over. I felt bad for that guy because you could tell he looked like distraught, and he was trying to be like a savvy veteran and keep his composure, and he was still playing hard, but I just felt bad for him. But I said on a Facebook message like, hey, you have nothing to feel bad about, dude. Like, you got Cleveland Browns into the playoffs when everyone thought you guys were done after all your quarterback injuries, and so it was just unfortunate that he had the 2, pick sixes in the third quarter to make it a blowout. What's your guys' take on the game, Monty?
I just like you, I had Cleveland winning that game as well. Not saying they would have beat Baltimore, but I think with that defense, that team had maybe the best chance of beating Baltimore because of that defense. They see them twice a year. That was my whole reasoning behind that. Not necessarily beating them, just giving them the harder time. I don't know if anybody's going to beat Baltimore out of that conference, but we'll talk about that later. But yeah, I'm impressed with how Stroud played. I'm impressed with Houston's defense.
That was surprising.
How well they played.
They were really good. Yeah, very.
Yeah, that's what I took from it was how that defense played. I mean, I knew Stroud was good. We've been talking about him all season. Will be rookie of the year. I mean, Nakua might have something to say about that in LA, but yeah, he's going to get rookie of the year easy, Stroud. But yeah, I'm proud of how they played. They got a tough one coming up this weekend, but yeah, we'll see what happens.
What's your guys' take, Kevin? What's your take on the game? Did you watch it?
I didn't see a whole lot of that game, but it's nice to see when a young team can come together like that and peak as they're reaching the playoffs. So it'll be exciting to see because they're kind of playing with house money right now. Nobody's expecting them to win. Right. So every little bit that they do is just bonus for them. So they can play free and loose because they don't have any expectations on them.
Right. I agree. Yeah. That's how Green Bay played, and look what happened. Yeah, they had no expectations, and they played lights out. What's your take, Dave?
Yeah, I totally agree with Kevin. I mean, it's CJ Stroud's a stud. That last year as Denver was struggling, I mean, watching the college season, I'm thinking, man, I want that guy on our team. Hoping he would slide or Seahawks would draft up to get him. But unfortunately that didn't happen. But I mean, not only that, but DeMarco Ryan did a fabulous job this year. Yes. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, he needs to be coach of the year. If he's not, I'll be shocked.
Oh yeah, I mean that's got to be hands down because, like Kevin said, I mean they were so bad last year.
Yeah,
but it didn't surprise me Houston won, like it didn't surprise me Green Bay won. I was shocked at how many points they scored on Cleveland.
Yeah. Well, two of it was defensive touchdowns, but still, they played well on both sides of the ball. They did
exactly. Yeah, but I just like Kevin said, they're playing with house money. It's like who knows what's going to happen this weekend?
Yeah.
Although I mean, Baltimore is like Baltimore. It's like they're. Ooh.
Yeah. I mean, like Kevin said, they have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Obviously, Baltimore's heavy favorites, but we can get to that for divisional talk. But I still think, as much as I like Baltimore's quarterback, I still think he hasn't done much in the playoffs. I think he's only 1-3 in the playoffs, so he's got kind of like a little bit of his. He's not quite in Dak Prescott's shoes, but he needs to start. He needs to start winning some playoff games because he doesn't. He's going to be just like Dak Prescott, in my opinion. So he needs to be careful. But he's probably going to be the MVP this year. So, he's had a really good year. Dolphins Chiefs. I knew the Chiefs wouldn't lose this game, even though the Chiefs are struggling this year on the offensive side of the ball. It's like there is no way the Dolphins are going into Arrowhead and playing in negative 20-degree weather, whatever the heck it was, and going to win this game. And plus, Miami had the same problem that the Dallas Cowboys had. They were kind of like they're very suspicious against good teams. Most of their wins were against bad teams, unfortunately, just like the Cowboys. They had a lot in common this year with that. So I guess the Taylor Swift effect didn't quite it didn't sink them quite yet. I'm still thinking like she has an effect on their team, but they did at least get one more playoff win. So I always kind of joke around about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. I think he's not playing quite as good as he used to be since he met her, but that's just me. But
what do you think she didn't have an effect because the windows were so fogged up that she couldn't see the game? So.
Yeah, I just like giving old boy a hard time because his stats are down a little bit this year. But I think the whole offense is just struggling. It obviously has nothing to do with her. It's just funny to talk about. But their offense has been struggling for whatever reason. But their biggest problem is they just have a lot of drop passes this year for some reason.
Yeah.
It all started the very first game of the year when Detroit upset them, and it shocked everybody. Like Detroit won and Arrowhead, like, oh my goodness, so that was kind of the start of it. But yeah, Chiefs won easy 26-7. Tua's stats was 20 out of 39, 199 yards, 1 TD, 1 pick. Mostert was their best, 8 carries, 33 yards, which wasn't much. They didn't have really any running game. And Tyreek Hill, his return to Kansas City obviously wasn't good, but he had 5 catches for 62 yards and 1 TD. So Mahomes was 23 out of 41, 262 yards, 1 TD. Pacheco was their leading running back, 24 carries, 89 yards. And then their rookie receiver, Rice, had a huge game. He's come on strong this year. 8 catches, 130 yards, 1 TD. He's a rookie, so he's another good rookie. I believe he's a rookie. So I can't remember where he came from, but what college he played at. But he's having a really good year. What's your guys' take on this game? It was like the Ice Bowl kind of thing. It was kind of boring. So that was my take.
Yeah.
It seemed like a good game to watch, really.
My biggest takeaway is I'm surprised of how poorly Miami ran the ball. In that weather, in that cold, I believe Mostert was he's either the league's leading rusher or top 3 or something like that. I'm not sure. Help me out if you guys know, but I know he was somewhere up there. And I thought that would be their game plan, was to pound it. I mean, run it.
Mm-hmm.
That's been their sprint. I mean, I know they have those 2 fast receivers, but with that weather, playing in ice, that pretty much evens out everything. So I would think they would have gone to their other sprint or at least did that better. And that's what surprised me the most about that.
Yeah,
didn't expect them to win it, but I expected them to run it better.
Yeah, that was surprising. I couldn't watch that game. It wasn't on TV here, but I saw the stats and it just didn't look good. It looked like it was just one of those games where it was but it was because of the conditions, like you said. So, and I didn't know. I just knew Miami wasn't going to win on the road. Yeah, Chiefs got at least one win in them in this playoffs. Like I said, I don't know if they'll get to the Super Bowl game, but I know they got one. I knew they had one playoff win left in them before they get knocked out. So, what's your take on it, Kevin?
Well, for some reason, I've always kind of had an affinity for Miami. I've always liked them. I think it goes back to the Dan Marino days, watching him growing up, and then my freshman year of college down in Florida. So I was kind of became a Miami fan while I was there. But they've struggled this year against any team with any kind of a record. So I think seeing them lose to the Chiefs was not a huge surprise. But yeah, like you were saying, I think they were hoping to run the ball better, and I think that the Chiefs just knew that that's what they were going to do. So they game planned for stopping the run, and they were going to let T. Hill try to beat him. And I think he's still I think his ankle is still a little screwed up from a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah,
I think that kind of threw him off a little bit.
Yeah. He still had 5 catches for 62 yards and a touchdown, but he was the leading receiver. But that's not like the numbers he's used to getting, that's for sure. But yeah. What's your take, Dave?
Yeah, like you, I didn't see any of the game, but it didn't surprise me the outcome, the score, whatever. That's because, like Kevin said, Miami struggled against any winning team.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I really can't say too much about it. All I've seen was the stats, and since I didn't see, I don't have Peacock, so it's like, oh well.
Yeah, they're doing that crap on purpose to try to make you subscribe. I hate when they do
Yeah,
that.
it's like, no
Like, I'm
thanks.
not gonna fall for that.
I mean,
I
if
won't
there's
watch
it, I
it.
mean, even if there's any game that's on free TV, that's probably the game I would not have watched.
The only game I had to watch was that Michigan beating UW game. That's the only game I cared about where I actually went out to Buffalo Wild Wings. I had to watch that one. But other than that, if it's not on, I'm just not gonna watch it, man. Because I got rid of cable 3 years ago, and I'm not gonna bring it back. So if I can't get it, I can't get it. If I can't stream it, then I guess I'm not gonna watch it. So
Yeah.
it's all good. I thought the best game of the weekend was the Rams Lions. Matthew Stafford's return. That was the most competitive game by far. A lot of them were blowouts, but this game was good from the very beginning all the way to the very end. The Lions won 24-23. Both quarterbacks played really well. Geez, man, that was the game. Eminem was there. I know they're playing that one famous song he's got in the stadium. I like that song. That's kind of that's kind of song you definitely play before a big football game will get you pretty motivated.
Yeah.
So he was there. He was talking. He even had like a whole like little pre-game thing where they announced where they announced the teams before they come out. Eminem was all part of that, man. He was definitely proud of his Detroit Lions getting to the playoffs. And the biggest thing was this was their first playoff win since 1991, over 30 years. This game was huge for them. But Matthew Stafford did return. I have a lot of respect for Matthew Stafford. He was there for 12 years, and he was loyal. He tried to get them. Well, he did get them to the playoffs 3 times when he was with Detroit, but they lost all 3 games, and one of them was to our Cowboys.
Yeah.
At Dallas at AT&T Stadium, but he left. He was loyal, but I think when there was an interview with him and his wife, his wife had mentioned where she told him it was okay to leave. He almost like felt guilty for leaving, going to the Rams and getting his Super Bowl there. But I thought he was, very deserving. I feel like the dude's a warrior, man. That dude just can grind it out, man. He's a baller.
Yeah.
The dude's good. His stats were impressive. They both played well, but he had the better stats overall. He was 25 out of 36.
Yes.
367 yards, 2 TDs. Nakua, like Monty mentioned, kind of competing for rookie of the year with CJ Stroud, but probably won't get it because it's probably going to go to a quarterback, which is deserving because CJ Stroud's been lights out. But he had 9 receptions for 181 yards, which is crazy, and 1 touchdown. He just absolutely destroyed them. And the running back Williams had a decent game. They don't have much of a running game at LA, but he was decent. He's kind of carried them a little bit this year. He was okay. He had 13 carries for 61 yards, which isn't bad. It's over 4 yards a carry, almost 5 yards a carry. So he didn't do bad. Jared Goff's stats were 22 out of 27, only 5 incompletions. That's pretty impressive. 277 yards, 1 TD. Montgomery was their leading ball rusher, 14 carries, 57 yards, 1 TD. And St. Brown, who is an absolute beast. The guy's just got speed. That guy is really quick. He runs really good routes. He's always open. 7 receptions, 110 yards. He got the big first down to ice the game around the time. So it was a really good game. Yeah, it came down to the end, man. I felt like Detroit got off to a fast start, and then they kind of like didn't play so good in the second half. But their offense was playing much better in the first half. But they held on. Their defense was good, and their defense kind of held on to win the game for them when their offense wasn't doing quite as well in the second half. What's your guys' take?
this is the game I saw the least of. I caught the fourth quarter of it, and yeah, I just pretty much enjoyed the story of this game with both quarterbacks playing against their former team.
Yeah, that made it very intriguing. Yep.
And I've just become a big fan of Dan Campbell. Man, don't I can see why these players want to play for that guy. Just he's the kind of guy you want to run through a wall for, that you want to win for. That's what Dallas needs, by the way, something like
Yeah.
that. But that we won't go there again.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, I like Detroit. I'm hoping they'll give. Not sure who they're playing this week. I think it's San Francisco, if I'm not mistaken.
No, they're playing the Packers.
Oh, you're right. You're right. I'm not sure.
No, I'm sorry, that's wrong. We'll get to that later. I got it written
Yeah,
down.
yeah, we'll get to that later. But yeah, I didn't see much of this game. I like the story behind it with the two quarterbacks and just Dan Campbell and the Detroit Lions. Man, this poor team, they've had bad luck like you wouldn't believe, and finally they're legit and they should be good for years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're good. What's your take, Kevin?
Yeah, well, kind of to feed off of that, wasn't Dan Campbell? He was part of the winless team in Detroit, wasn't he? So
Yes, he was.
That's a
right.
guy right there that he's been through the grind that these players are, and he loves that city, even though he's been through some of the worst of that
Mhm.
city. So
Yeah.
I think that's one thing that kind of helps them rally behind him, is that he can speak their language because he's been there with them, and he knows what it's like to lose, and he doesn't want to lose anymore.
Right.
So I think that's where he's getting some of that motivation, where he can really tie into those players and get them motivated. But then Amon St. Brown, that guy, he is a monster. The last two seasons, he has just been uncoverable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's only getting better. It's incredible to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And then going back to Jared Goff, I remember when he was with the Rams, I thought that he was just completely lost, that the guy didn't have a chance. And I think the change of scenery really forced him to kind of figure it out. And he seems to be a really good quarterback now. He's one of those where he's gonna keep you in a game, and he's gonna find a way to get you close, if not get the win.
Yeah, he did good for his couple years with the Rams, and then he tanked after they lost the Super Bowl to New England Patriots, Tom Brady's, I think, last Super Bowl win there, and he really fell off and he really lost his confidence. Like I said, he just like looked out of it, like he looked very unsure of himself, and the team was really on his case, and you can tell like a trade was coming. It was a no-brainer when he left to go to Detroit. Like everyone saw that coming a mile away, and it's just like he got reborn again. Like I said, a fresh change of scenery, and
Yeah.
he just needed a change, and it helped him out. And you gotta give Dan Campbell a lot of credit for that too, Monty. Like Dan Campbell helped groom this guy along. Hey, he helped give him his confidence back.
Right. Right.
Dan Campbell is a great coach. He will be fine for coach of the year probably with the Houston Texans guy, but I think the Houston Texans guy have it. Wasn't Dan Campbell the coach? No, he wasn't the coach of the year last year, but they had an improvement last year. You kind of saw how Detroit finished the season last year. They might have a good year, this year, and they did. But Dan Campbell's up there, but I think D'Amico Ryans has it for sure with what Houston's done. But Dan Campbell's definitely should be in the conversation, I think. What do you think, Dave? What's your take on the game? Did you watch that game?
Yeah, I did. That was a fun game to watch.
Yes, that was the best one, in my opinion.
Yeah. I've always liked Jared Goff. I felt he was unappreciated in LA.
Yeah.
Even when he took him to the Super Bowl, it's like, I don't know if it was McVay or whatever, but it seemed like he was always a weak link of their team. And, for reasons valid or not. But I mean, I was just looking at the stats for this year, and it's like, my goodness, he's second in passing yardage, third in touchdown passes, second in 20-yard completion passes. So, I mean, obviously he's got his confidence.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, for the game, it's fun to watch a team who can close out a game.
Yeah.
You know, just keep the ball and get first downs and close out that game. I mean, and what confidence Campbell showed with Goff, you know, with under 2 minutes left to throw that ball for the
Yeah.
first down with Rams still having a timeout.
Yeah, that was
I mean,
something.
they could have ran the ball and could have given the Rams back the ball with 20 seconds left or whatever. But he decided he wanted to win it, and he put in Golf in St. Brown's hands. So, I mean, yeah, I mean,
Yeah, he trusted him.
yeah,
Throwing the ball was crucial because most teams will kind of run. Some teams can kind of get the first downs, even though the defense knows it's coming. They're like stacking the box. Sometimes they can break off a big run, like if they're gonna be a missed tackle or they get some really good blocking. But it seems like most of the time that those things happen, they go 3 and out because the defense knows what's coming. They give the ball right back. So for him,
yeah. And they ended up picking up 3 first downs to win it. So,
yeah,
you
for
know,
him,
don't run the
yeah,
clock
that
out.
was impressive that they ran it out, and for him to throw the
Yeah.
ball like that was, yeah, that was something. And
Right.
it was a nice pass, a nice.
And always nice to see McVay lose. I'm sorry, but
Yeah,
that's a Seahawks fan coming out of me.
yeah, it's like, yeah, I know you guys don't like the Rams, like that's your.
Oh,
big
that's
rival.
right. That's right. Yeah, yeah, that makes
Yeah, the
sense.
Rams are a huge rival up here. Yeah,
Yeah.
They always beat us. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I know Seahawks fans up here in Seahawks country don't like the Rams, so I got no say in that. But of course, I'm surrounded by Seahawks fans, so I hear about it all the time. But I can see why. So the next game, Steelers at Bills. That game looked like it was going to be a blowout, but then the Steelers got a late touchdown at the end of the first half off of the blocked field goal, and they kind of got themselves back in the game, and it became a ball game. It was 21-7 at halftime, but then they got down to one score to make it 24-17, but then the Bills got that big touchdown run from Josh Allen. They end up icing the game, and the final score was 31-17. That game looked like it was going to be bad, just like the Cowboys game, but then the Steelers being the Steelers, they just always find a way to kind of stay in it, man. That's like their MO, man. That's who they are.
Mhm.
I like Mike Tomlin. I wish that's another guy I wish the Cowboys had, Monty. They had the Cowboys trained a guy like Mike Tomlin.
Yeah.
A guy that's tough, a guy that won't let stupid penalties happen.
Right.
A guy that holds his players accountable, like how he did his receiver who didn't block for his running back when they
That's
scored
right.
a touchdown like a month ago. He was lit that guy up. He called him out in the news conference.
Mm-hmm.
We need a guy like that. I love that guy as a coach. I know he hasn't done much to the playoffs lately. That's why some people in Steelers Nation want his head because they haven't been to I believe, an AFC Championship game in the last 7 or 8 years since like 2017. So it's been a while, but the man has won a ring though. I think he's a good coach. But Josh Allen played well. Some people think he's overrated. I don't think so, but his stats are good. His stats were 21 out of 30, 203 yards, 3 TDs passing. And the rushing side, he had 8 carries, 74 yards in the big one to get the touchdown to make it a 2-score game to ice the game. The man's a beast. He's as big as those linebackers are. He doesn't go down easy. Cook, the running back, had a decent game. He came on strong in the second half of the year. They had no running game the first half of the season, but the second half of the season, it seemed like they got their running game going a little bit better. He had 18 carries, 79 yards, and the rookie tight end who's had a good year, Kincaid was the leading receiver, 3 catches, 59 yards, and a touchdown catch. Rudolph, you had to give this guy some credit. He helped. Just kind of like how, the Cleveland quarterback, Flacco, kind of helped Cleveland get into the playoffs. You can say the same thing for Rudolph. Steelers were struggling after Kenny Pickett went down. Mitch Trubisky was sucking, and he came in and got the last, I think, 3 wins of the year to get the Pittsburgh Steelers into the playoffs. So he didn't have his best game, but you had to give that guy credit, a third-string quarterback getting them into the playoffs. He was 22 out of 39, 229 yards, 2 TDs, and 1 pick. Warren was their best running back for the game, 8 carries, 38 yards. They didn't do much in the running game. That hurt them. And their leading receiver was their tight end, also Freemuth, however you say his name, 5 catches, 76 yards. But Rudolph battled. Pittsburgh battled like they always do. They just don't have enough. Their offense struggled all year long, and it struggled again in the playoff game. Their Achilles heel was their offense all season, it seemed like. What's your guys' take on it?
Yeah, didn't Pittsburgh fire their offensive coordinator midseason?
They did.
Yeah, they did get better with Rudolph at QB. I don't know if either of those guys are their future. I thought Kenny Pickett would be, but it's not looking like it. Trubisky, I've always thought he was sorry even when he was with Chicago. I was never a fan of his.
Mm-hmm.
As for Buffalo, they appear to be the hottest team in the NFL right now. They almost didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah,
I like
the Cowboys
how Josh,
got them going when they beat the crap out of them. That's what got them going.
Much. Yeah. Josh Allen, who's usually a turnover machine, didn't throw any picks this game, which if he keeps playing like that, Buffalo's going to be tough. Buffalo's going to be tough. But this game doesn't surprise me. I did expect Buffalo to win this game and keep that.
Yeah, I picked Buffalo. That's one of the very few wins I had this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
What's your take, Kevin?
I mean, I think this game was custom made for Josh Allen. It being that cold and in the snow and all that, a guy that's got a big arm that also can do it with his legs. He's exactly what Buffalo needed to kind of control this game and keep the Steelers defense kind of on their heels, not knowing if he was going to throw it or if he was going to run. I think Josh Allen was exactly who the Bills needed for this game.
Yeah, agreed.
Good call. Yep.
I think he led the league in interceptions. Of course, Dak Prescott did last year, but Josh Allen did have a lot of turnovers this year. That's why some of my friends on Facebook were saying he was overrated. Some people were saying he was trash, but I never thought so. Like, he's not trash, but he can be turnover prone. There's no doubt. You get the good and bad with him, so.
Yeah. He's got a little bit of that Brett Favre in him where he throws some risky passes where sometimes they pay off and you get some massive plays out of it, but then other times it goes the other direction. So
yeah. What's your take, Dave, on the game?
Yeah, I agree. He's a modern day Brett Favre. I mean, he's just running out there throwing wherever he throws it. I've always been a Josh Allen fan ever since his days in Wyoming.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be struggle to beat Baltimore if they get that far, but we'll talk about that later. Hopefully in a couple weeks. But yeah, I mean, Pittsburgh didn't have a chance going in. I didn't think. But I think it's crazy. I'm sorry, but I think it's crazy all these speculative people saying Tomlin's, should be done in Pittsburgh. I'm sorry. That's not the way the Pittsburgh organization runs. They've had 3 coaches in their history. So
no. And he's won. He hasn't had a losing season yet.
Exactly. So
it's just he hasn't had success.
I mean, with all the quarterback issues they had this year, I mean, for him to do what he did to get him there,
great coach.
It's a credit to his coaching.
Yeah, absolutely.
He scares me just looking at him on the sideline. he's
a motivator.
Fiery.
He gets his. Yeah, he makes you give 110%, and if not, he'll won't play you. He's kind of like old school like that. Like, you're not gonna I don't care if you're the best player on the team. If you're not gonna bring your best effort, I'll sit your butt down. Someone else can play. He's kind of like that. He's kind of like a high school coach in the NFL in a way.
Yeah.
He has that kind of mentality. Like, I don't gotta play you, man. So I don't care how much money you make.
And if Buffalo can run the ball like they did against Pittsburgh, I mean, they got those timely runs. So who knows?
Yeah. It'll be interesting. Let's get into the last game of the wild card round, Bucs, Eagles. I know me and Monty are personally happy the Eagles lost because I can't stand them.
Yeah.
What happened to that team the last half of the season? They just
Wow.
I don't know.
completely imploded.
Yeah.
They
Wow.
imploded.
Defense, man. Well, their defense has been suspect even when they were winning. People were scoring on them, and that's been their issue.
They're winning a lot of one-score games in the beginning of the season.
But it might be something internal going on there. That's just a flat-out collapse. Got fans throwing popcorn on coaches. I don't know if you saw that one.
No,
Their fans are brutal, man.
Yeah. Philly fan over there in Tampa Bay threw popcorn on the head coach as he was walking out the
See, that's what I don't like. I mean, I don't want to call the Eagles out. I mean, because it can happen anytime, anywhere. It can happen at Cowboys Stadium. It can happen at the Seahawks Stadium. But to me, in my opinion, and I do have some really good friends in the Navy, and even some of my best, even our friend Earl Monty is a big Eagles fan, like our high school friend. So I know there's some good Eagles fans out there that are good people, but there's some about their fan base as a whole I just don't like them. And it's not just because they're rivals of the Cowboys, like they're just too nasty, man.
that's bad.
Yeah, they've been like on the news so much for some of the crap they do in their games, like I'm saying, like not to call them out, but it can happen. Like fights can happen at any stadium, but it just seems like it's more prone at the Eagles Stadium than it is more anywhere else, and it's almost like they're freaking proud of it. It's like they almost like have some kind of pridefulness about the way they act over there, and I just don't like it. Like I don't think it's good for football. It's not good if you're like a young boy and you're going to a freaking game with your dad and there's like people acting like that. I'm like, get the heck out of here, man. Like my son's at this game, man. Like I just don't like them. So, and then the other thing is because they're our rivals, so it makes me hate them even more. So, but I don't like the Eagles, man. So I just don't. But it's mostly their fans. I have no problems with their players. It's their fans that I have the issue with. Their players are fine. Like Kelsey, I like him.
He's great.
He's a great player. Their brothers, the brothers in the NFL, they're great. I got no problem with either one of them. But yeah, Eagles got their butts kicked. They lost 5 out of 6 going into the finishing the regular season, and then they get their butts kicked 32-9. It was a game at halftime 16-9, but man, they were struggling all game. Like I also know what happened to their offense. Like Hurts didn't look uncomfortable. Like he looked really unsure what was going on. Like nobody was open except for Devontae Smith. That was the only guy it seemed like he can go to all game. No one else can get open, and they couldn't get the running game going. And Baker Mayfield, how about his comeback story after leaving Cleveland? And he played a really good game. And they should have been up by more at halftime, but their receivers were dropping passes. It was 16-9 at halftime, but they could have been up by like 2 scores, maybe 3. The reason why Philly was in the game was because even Mike Evans, who I love, Mike Evans dropped 2 big passes in the first half. Couldn't believe it. Their number one guy for the past like 10 years. I think he has some crazy stat. Like in his 10 years in the NFL, he has had 1,000-yard receiving seasons in all of them. That is insane.
Wow.
That is Hall of Fame numbers.
Yeah.
All 10 years you've went over 1,000 yards in receiving. That guy is going to be in the Hall of Fame. If not, that would just be insane. He has to be. He has like over 700 plus catches, like 90 plus touchdown receptions. Like the dude's got some crazy stats, man. He might hit 1,000 if he stays healthy, 1,000 receptions. So we'll see. But I like Baker Mayfield's comeback story. He's another comeback guy. So that's what I took away from the game. I was just happy to see Baker Mayfield win the game. And I like Jalen Hurts. I have no problem with Jalen Hurts. But like I said, I just don't like the Eagles, so I was happy to see them go down. What's your guys' take on it? You guys got anything on this game?
As bad as Philadelphia looked offensively and honestly, that defense was atrocious.
Yeah.
They couldn't tackle. Oh my goodness. Just watching them just hit people and bounce, get bounced off of. I don't know. Something's gone on internally with that defensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
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 Obviously Saran Nick Sirianni lost.
Sirianni.
Yeah, he lost total control of the defensive side. He didn't know what he was doing. Bringing Patricia back in to run the defense, and it's like that didn't help. And um, I don't know. I love seeing Philadelphia lose.
Yes.
I've always liked Baker Mayfield, just his not so much his attitude, but I mean he's like a poor man's Josh Allen to me. He'll
That's a good
just
way of
throw it
putting
up
it.
there and
Yeah.
see what happens. And
Yeah.
he's
It's a
tough,
very
and
good way of putting
uh he'll fight to the end. But yeah, I love seeing that game, to be
Yeah,
honest. But
I was very satisfied with seeing the Eagles get their whooped because they were
it.
talking
Yeah, I
so
was
much
happy.
trash the day before how bad the Cowboys look, and we did look bad, but they didn't come out any better.
no,
So, yeah, I know Monty, you told me like the Eagles fans better not be saying nothing. I remember you
Yeah.
told me that after that loss, like they better not be talking, and they weren't. So, yeah, but yeah, I like Baker Mayfield because he got Cleveland their one playoff win in a long time, one of their very few playoff wins. So people got to remember that he got Cleveland to the playoffs a couple of years ago, and he got them a win. I think they had a huge upset over Pittsburgh, I believe. Didn't they get up like really big in the first half and like just
Yes.
yeah.
Mhm.
yeah, that was like a surprise game. And then he does the game in Tampa Bay, and after Tom Brady leaves, so I think it's impressive. But let's get into divisional round
Well,
games. Go ahead, go
I've
ahead.
been a big fan of Baker Mayfield for a while. I really like the guy. I like that he wants to make sure that he takes ownership of everything. If they
That's
do
true.
well, he's going to say it was a team win, and if they do terrible, he's going to take it on himself.
That's
And
true.
I really
Yeah.
appreciate that. And I know when Seattle was going through the stuff with Russell Wilson and Baker got cut, I was hoping that I thought that Baker was going to be kind of a Pete Carroll kind of guy, that he was somebody that Seattle could really build around. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. But I'm a big Baker Mayfield fan, so I like seeing him win.
Yeah, I do too. I think a lot of people are rooting for him. Let's get into some divisional round games. We all been waiting for this one because Lamar Jackson's been in the waiting, but the Texans at the Ravens. So we'll just do the round robin. Like Monty, who do you got in this game? What's your takeaway from this game?
Ooh, I like the matchup of the quarterbacks. Big fan of both. Lamar Jackson. Boy, that's going to be tough. I mean, Ravens might be the best team in the NFL right now, next to San Francisco, or 1-2, 1A, 1B, however. But man, it's going to be tough to go into Baltimore for Houston to go in there and win that game. And I don't expect Baltimore to win big, but I do expect them to win by 10 at least.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for Houston.
Absolutely. Kevin, who you got?
I'm gonna say that Baltimore is gonna come out rusty after sitting for a week and kind of losing a little bit of momentum. And then, like I said earlier, I think the Texans are playing with house money, so they're going to be playing free and clear. And then I think the Texans are going to come through and surprise us.
Ooh,
Nice.
all right.
I like picking the upset. What do you got, Dave?
All right.
Wow.
Upset special. Cool.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a game. I only because Baltimore is so good defensively and such, I'm going to have to stick with Baltimore. I'm not a huge Lamar Jackson fan.
Yeah.
He hasn't proven. I mean, he's kind of, to me, like a Dak Prescott. He really hasn't proven he can do it in
He
the
needs a lot to prove. He still has a lot
postseason.
to prove. I agree with that.
But I'm still going to go with Baltimore. But I think it's going to be a one-score game.
Okay.
Yeah, I have nothing against Lamar Jackson, but I'm not completely sold on him either. Obviously, I do think he will win MVP this year, like I said earlier in the show. His stats prove it. It was up for grabs with him and Brock Purdy, and a few other guys. But then that San Francisco game, I mean, Baltimore just destroyed them. So probably Lamar Jackson won the MVP right there in that game because that was a blowout. Everyone's expected a close game on Christmas, and that was a blowout. Very surprisingly. If Lamar Jackson doesn't play well, I can see what Kevin is saying, where Texans could squeak this one out. But I'll pick the Ravens, but I'm not like complete. But I'm not saying it with a whole lot of confidence. But I'll go with the Ravens because they're the home team, and that almost be a bigger story than the Cowboys and the Packers if the Ravens lose this game.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson, because that's what Dave is alluding to. And I kind of think the same thing. Lamar Jackson only has 1 win and 3 losses in the playoffs. If he loses this and goes to 1-4, he'll be right up there with Dak Prescott being 2-5. So there's a lot of pressure on Lamar Jackson, whether he's showing it or not. I don't know, but he has pressure on him. He hasn't done well in the playoffs. But I will stick with the Ravens because they have been really good this year. They've been dominant. They've been physical on both sides of the ball. They got a really good defense. So Lamar Jackson is struggling. Hopefully their defense can keep him in the game for him to come back and win it in the end. But I'll stick with Ravens.
So Ken, you said you only won 1 game last week. Maybe I want to change my pick.
I won 2.
Oh, okay.
I won 2. I picked the KC game, and I picked another. I picked another one. I won 2 games.
Buffalo.
Last week,
Buffalo.
I won the Buffalo.
Yeah, game. I mean, just one more aspect with that. I mean, just watching the way CJ Stroud tore up the Cleveland defense.
Yeah, that's number 1
It'll be
defense
interesting.
too.
He has a lot of confidence going in. That's for dang sure.
Yeah, so he's not going to be shy. That's for sure.
And like Kevin said, sometimes sitting for a week is good because you get healthy, but the backside of it is you come out rusty. So it can go either way. Some teams do really good with a bye week, and some teams do horrible. So we'll see how Baltimore is if they're a good bye week team or they're not. So
it just reminds me of the old Colts and with Peyton Manning, how they always seem to get the bye and then they lose in the first round.
Yep, some teams stuck in the bye, man. I'm telling you, man. Some teams are just horrible with it. They're just not good with a bye week. They need to continue playing the next week. If not, they lose all their momentum. Packers at 49ers. I would love to see the Packers win this game since 49ers are another big rivalry of the Dallas Cowboys back in the 90s when that was a huge thing when both teams were really good. But I will pick the 49ers just because 49ers don't seem to go out early in the playoffs ever. They made it to a lot of NFC Championship games lately, and they haven't quite gotten over the hump to win the Super Bowl. They lost to Patrick Mahomes when he got his first ring a few years back. But I just don't see the 49ers being a first-round exit kind of team. That's just my take. I think Packers will play well, but 49ers defense, they are nasty.
Mm-hmm.
They're a lot better than the Cowboys defense. I know that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I think that will help keep, Jordan Love in check a little bit and keep Aaron Jones in check. So I got the 49ers. Who you got, Monty?
Yeah, San Francisco might be the most complete team left in the playoffs overall. I mean, they have everything, pretty much no weakness. Defense is excellent. You got Brock Purdy, excellent quarterback. Receivers, you got Debo, man, and you got Christian McCaffrey. That's a complete team there. That's going to be tough for Green Bay to go in there and beat that team. I expect a good game, though. I do expect a good game. I know the Packers have had trouble with San Francisco, and I don't see much of a change here. I like San Francisco to win this game.
What do you got,
Not a fan of theirs, but yeah, just being objective, they should win this game.
Yeah, I agree. What do you got, Kevin?
As much as it pains me to say it, I think I've got to take the Niners on this one. I don't think anybody in the league has proven that they can stop Christian McCaffrey. And even if you do, you still got Debo, you still have Kittle. Their offense has just got too many weapons to slow down, and their defense is just as good as their offense. So I don't really see how the Packers can come in and take this one away. So I'm going with the Niners on this one.
I agree. Yep, that's good. That's very sound. What do you got, Dave?
I'm going with my heart instead of my head.
Okay,
I'm going for the
that's always
Packers.
dangerous.
I hate the Niners with a passion.
Yeah. I know you guys do. That's
And
another rivalry with the Seahawks, and it's a rivalry with the Cowboys too. Yeah.
but
Can't stand them.
it's funny because I grew up in the Bay Area, and when we moved up here, there was no Seahawks, so I was still a 49er fan until the Hawks moved to the NFC West. And I don't know. I'm not a Kyle Shanahan fan. I'm not Nick Bosa fan. I despise all the Niners.
Yeah, can't stand them, but they're good.
I'm
I'm
going
with
to
you
go
on
with the
that one,
Packers
Dave.
just because of playing the Niners.
Yeah. Both
It
brothers are
hurts me to
obnoxious.
say it, but
Yeah.
Yeah, both the Bosa brothers are they're very obnoxious. They're good, but they got some big egos, about as big as AT&T Stadium, man. So yeah. Yeah, next game, Bucs at Lions. Woo.
that's going to be a good
This is a
game.
hard one.
Yeah.
This is a hard one. This should be a really good game. I think this might be the toughest choice because both teams are coming off big wins. You know, both teams haven't really had much. Well, the Bucs had success with Brady, but they've had much playoff success without Brady. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Lions, like I said, got their first win in the playoffs since 1991. My goodness, it's hard. That's a hard one. It's gonna be another good quarterback matchup with Jared Goff and Baker Mayfield. I do think the Lions have a little bit of advantage at the running backs. They have two really good running backs. They have the Alabama rookie, then they got their main guy, Montgomery. They're both really good. They're both young players. They're good 1-2 punch at running back. Amon St. Brown's a beast, like we all alluded to. They got Laporta at tight end. They have a lot of weapons also. He's had a great rookie season. Lions defense is good. You know, the ex-Michigan man on the line, the defensive lineman, defensive end, he's good. He's really good. He's a run wrecker, man, and he can sack the quarterback. So
Yes.
I think it's gonna be a very close game, probably the best game of the week. Maybe with the exception of Chiefs and Bills. I think those two games will be the best. But I'll take the Lions on this one. It's gonna be close, though. I think it's gonna be another one-score game. It's gonna be very close. Could come down to overtime, maybe an overtime game.
Ooh, that's a bold prediction.
Yeah, it is. I'm going with overtime. Bucs. I'm going with Lions in overtime.
Nice. I got the Lions barely pulling it off. Man, going into Detroit again, another home game. Those fans are going to be insane. I mean, man, you had fans crying tears of joy after that win.
Yeah, they
last
haven't win for a
weekend,
long time. Yeah,
man, and that was good to see. That was something. But man, Detroit's on the roll. They're gonna be tough to beat. I got Detroit barely, but they're gonna win this game.
What you got, Kevin?
All right. Well, I think Detroit's going to have a little bit of an emotional hangover in this game, and I think the Bucs are going to come in and barely squeak it out and steal this game away.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, I like your predictions. It could happen. We've seen this before. It could happen. It might be too much for them. You're right. That could happen.
Didn't think about you, Dave? Yeah, that's right.
So I'm going to go with slow and steady over wild and throwing it up there. So I'm going to go with Jared Goff and the Lions.
All right.
Yeah, he's got the weapons.
I just see him coming through more than I can see Baker Mayfield at this point. You know, and I know it was early, but they beat him already once this year in Tampa. But
yeah,
they
did.
You know, week 6 or
6.
something. But I actually think it's going to be a 2-score game.
Oh wow.
Oh wow.
You think it'll be a little bit bigger? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I do. I think the emotions of the crowd and everything's going to get those Lions.
That's where the hangover could be, though, like Kevin said. But we'll see. It's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, I don't think Campbell will let him have a hangover.
Yeah, that dude gets too mad. Yeah, he's like Tomlin, Mike Tomlin. Yeah, he doesn't play around.
Yeah.
Like he'll fire all of them. So yeah, he will. You're right. He will get them to play. The big one,
Yeah.
Chiefs at Bills. I'm so pissed at the Bills from a couple years ago with the last 13 seconds. I wanted to see Patrick Mahomes go down, and not that I have anything against Patrick Mahomes, I don't, but I was kind of rooting for the Bills because their story, with Jim Kelly and all those guys being 0-4 in the Super Bowl and everything. I've been kind of seeing. Actually, there's a lot of people that want to see a Bills and Lions Super Bowl. I don't know how many people have told me that so far. They want to see a Bills and Lions Super Bowl for two teams that have never got a ring. So that'll be interesting. Can Josh Allen not turn the ball over like you were saying, Monty? Chiefs defense has dramatically improved over the past couple of years. We know that everything was about their offense, but now their defense is really good the last couple of seasons. But this is the first time Patrick Mahomes has had to play on the road in his playoff career.
Mm-hmm.
Another interesting stat. Is he very capable of winning the game? Yes, he is, of course. He's Patrick Mahomes, two Super Bowl rings. He's good. He's legit. He's a great quarterback, but their offense has been struggling this year. Bills seem to be playing good at the right time of the season. Chiefs are kind of iffy. So I will go with the Bills, but we'll be close. They just can't screw up the last 13 seconds. Bills, if you let me down again, and I'm not a Bills fan at all, but I'm kind of going for them because they're such a big underdog. And I like new blood. I've always been an underdog guy my whole life, so I will go for the underdog again in this one. I would say the Bills will win, but it's going to be close. It will come down to like the last drive, probably in the fourth quarter, either a defensive stop or a score to win, one of the two. So I got the Bills. What do you got, Monty?
Okay. Yeah, you got the Bills and Lions, like you were talking about, maybe two of the most unluckiest teams in the NFL.
Yes.
Really, but yeah, that would be a Super Bowl matchup, I tell you. But man, this is the best game of the weekend, I think. The best matchup of the weekend. Yeah, you got Patrick Mahomes, you got Josh Allen, man, and that Bills running game. I think that's going to be the key there at home, running that ball. And I think I'm going to take Buffalo barely. Should be a good back and forth game. I don't see Josh Allen putting the balls in harm's way like he's normally doing. Had a good game this past weekend, so I would like to see him continue that, and I think he will. So I have Buffalo.
What about you, Kevin?
Yeah, I think this is going to be a pretty good matchup, and I think, like Monty said, it's going to come down to the Bills keeping the rock on the ground. If they can run the ball and possess the ball, I think they're going to win this game. So I'm going to go with the Bills, and I'm going to throw on that. I think Mahomes is going to throw 2 interceptions in this game. I don't think they're going to be like pure interceptions. I think they're going to be ones that come off of the hands of his receivers. They've been having a hard time catching it all season,
Good
but
call.
I think that there's going to be a couple picks that come Buffalo's way.
Yeah, I can see that absolutely. What about you, Dave?
Finally, Buffalo gets Kansas City at home.
Yes.
They've been so close in Kansas City. I actually, like the previous game, I actually think this is going to be a 2-score game as well.
Oh, wow. You're going big.
I mean, Josh, I was just looking at the stats. Josh Allen's quarterback rating at home's 102, away is 83.
Yeah,
so
big difference.
A big performer at home. So
oh yeah.
I'm going with Buffalo 2-score game.
Okay.
All right. Well, we all want Buffalo to win, so I think that was the first game we all had the same choice. All of our rest were like a little bit different, but I think we all have Buffalo Bills win this game. So yeah, I think people are tired of seeing Patrick Mahomes. Great player, but he has struggled this year. Well, his receivers are really one struggling, not him, like Kevin and Lutu. They've dropped so many balls this year, it's unfunny. Tony can't line up right as an NFL receiver. I mean, dude, you're in the NFL and you can't line up right. Me and Monty talk about it, like how we talk about this during our games in high school and middle school. Like they know how to line up right. You're in NFL, you can't line up right. They know how to line up in middle school for crying out loud. They check in with me in middle school to make sure they're lined up right. So I can't believe he couldn't line up right in that game. Then they're crying about it afterwards. I'm like, dude, he screwed up. He should know better. I couldn't
Yeah.
believe
Yeah.
they're crying about that call. I'm like, that was a good call, man. So at least to me it was. Like, he should know better. He's getting paid $10 million a year. He can't. He lines up offsides. That's his fault. So yeah. But anyways, great choices. Great show.
Excellent, guys. Good job.
Yeah, we'll close, but you guys are welcome back anytime.
Yes.
If you want to become regulars, or if you want to just come around every once in a while for something, let me know, because you guys have the knowledge, and I love doing football games with you in high school. Hopefully hopefully all of us have a good season next year in football. So but anyways, do you guys got anything in closing before I sign off here? You got anything, Monty?
Dave, Paul, Dave, Kevin, thank you. Good job, guys. Enjoyed having you guys on the show. Those of you out there watching, subscribe, like.
Yeah.
If you agree, disagree, we'd love to hear your comments.
Yep, we don't always gotta agree. You can disagree, say something you don't agree with. That's fine with by me. So, you got Kevin and Dave? You got anything before we sign off?
Thanks for having us on, guys.
Yeah. Yep. Thanks for the invite.
It was fun. It was fun.
Yeah,
I like doing this
enjoyed
with you guys. I know you guys have the knowledge and everything about football. I think we're all passionate about football for obvious reasons. So
So when you see
anyways,
those 2-score games in Buffalo and Detroit, be thinking of me. So,
Yeah.
Dave, you need to come on next week and see if that happens or not. We'll have to critique Dave to see if that happens or not. So you got definitely you and Kevin need to come back next week.
Yeah, Kevin has some bold ones too, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll have to see if some of Kevin's upset predictions are right. I like some of his upsets, especially the one. That's interesting. But we'll sign off, and we'll talk to you guys later. Like Mike said, thank you for subscribing and thank you for watching, and have a good night.